What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the workshop. I hope you're all keeping well. Now, in this video, I'm going to do some serious upgrades to my table saw, the Bosch GTS 10XC, and we're going to fix some of the glaring issues and problems with this saw, including the fence, dust extraction. We're going to sort all that out in this video with some pretty cool products and some pretty cool upgrades. So, without further ado, let's upgrade this saw. Okay, let's take a look at what we're going to be using here. Now, this is from a company called Fused 3D. They're based in Germany. They make all these parts, and they're all 3D printed parts for the Bosch table saw. Now, this has been sent to me, but I've not been paid by the company. I didn't spend my own money on this, so just to be upfront with you guys, to let you guys know, but I'm under absolutely no obligation to even speak about this or even make a video about it. They just sent it to me to check out and give them some feedback on the products, but I said I would share this with you guys and give you guys my first impressions as well, and let you know as I'm seeing this for the first time too. So let's take a quick look and see what we have. So we have a micro adjuster for the fence, so a fine adjuster, and it looks like we can move one full rotation is 1 millimeter, half a rotation is 0.5 mil, so it is a really fine adjustment. Again, all these parts are 3D printed. Here's another little item that they do. So this is a bearing kit for the fence, so we shall install that as well and see how that goes. The fence is not great on the Bosch table saw. If any of you guys own it, you will be familiar, and I've made multiple videos about it, so it'll be interesting to see how much these items improve the fence. Here's a couple other 3D printed parts. This is a hose clamp, which I'll show you that in operation in a minute. Here's another thing that they make. This is a blade guard, but built-in dust extraction. So one of the problems with that table saw is that the dust extraction with it is terrible. So we will fit that again. Here's another item to improve the dust extraction. So the blade guard, the blade cover that's inside in the saw, has a massive big open area around it, so the dust extraction is terrible. So this is a shroud to kind of seal off that whole thing, so that's going to be interesting, and that's the kit for fitting it. So everything you need to fit it is in there. So these are all available separately, and as well as that, then there's another 3D printed part. So this is for the dust extraction, so it's like a dual port extractor. So we've one for pulling air out around underneath the blade, and then we have another attachment here that will go up onto our hose guard, and we have some hose as well for doing that. So let's get all this attached to the table saw, and we'll test these pieces out one by one. So the first thing I want to do, because this is the most involved thing, is install this shroud. So we've got to do a bit of work to get this installed, so let's do that first. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is install, like I said, this dust shroud. I need to get access to the underneath of the saw to do that, but let me just show you one of the major problems with this saw before we fit it. Hey guys, we have the insert removed, and you can see down inside the saw. Now I'll roll in some footage as I'm talking here so you guys can get a better understanding, but you see the blade here, you can see the blade guard and the kind of dust extraction housing. So your dust extraction port is down there that pulls air from around the blade here. But you can see there's a huge open area around that blade, all down inside in the saw here. That's the top of the blade guard right there. So you're pulling air from everywhere. It's not just pulling air from around the slot where your blade comes through the tabletop. So the dust extraction is really, really poor. And as you can see, it's full of sawdust down inside in the saw. And that's all sawdust that's escaping. It's not going down between the blade and out the back of the saw because there's just so much open area around it. So yeah, hopefully this will solve that problem. So let's get this shroud fitted to the blade guard and see how we go. Okay, I'm going to need to remove the fence, and then I'm going to have to take the saw up off the stand. Put the brakes on that. Okay, so you can see the big issue with this saw. Look at all the sawdust that's underneath here. That is insane. So all that has not been captured. I'm going to have to clean this out first. Okay, so there's the underneath of the saw. We just got to pull these screws, and there's a hinge on this, so it hinges down. Just like that. Now, you can see the big massive hole. There is the blade guard. Here is your dust extraction port right here. So you can see you're just pulling all that air from down around here and not down around the blade. You can see all the stuff that's ending up around the saw. I don't need to explain it any more than that. It's not great. So let's see if we can solve this problem. Okay, we're cleaned out, so I'm just going to remove a few screws to take the blade guard or blade shroud off. There we go. Okay, here's the blade guard, the blade housing off, and it has kind of tabs here. So this is designed to clip on this. Now I watched the video, but I only watched it once. So let's hope we get this right. So leave these slots here, go onto all the tabs. A little bit fidgety, it's not too bad. I don't actually have a tab on the end of my one there, maybe the newer model does. I have a space there, right, so that then comes over the top and they go in either side here and line up with the existing screw holes. Just like that. Okay, there's a slightly better look. So you can see here there's slots in the material for going onto these tabs, and the same on the side here. And then we have these red clamps which clip on and line up with the screw hole. So they go on either side. So the other one clips on there like that. And then I believe we're almost ready to put this back in. Now we have to tap a couple of holes as well. So that sits there, and holds our shroud in place. Okay, it also comes with a fixing kit. You see you have some bolts there, and it comes with a tap for tapping the other side, which I'll show you now in a second. And this is an M5 by 8, so a nice little tap, and it has a hex head on it, so it will work with a socket. Okay guys, there's 4 screw holes we got to tap. One here, here and here, and these are also 2 fixing holes, but they're already tapped. So it is into aluminium, so you just want to be careful with aluminium that you don't gum up the threads, because it's quite soft. So I'm just using a little bit of grease just to help it cut its way in, and just nice and easy. I'm just using a screwdriver that will accept a hex bit. I'm just taking my time. Like I said, aluminium is very, very soft. So just keep clearing the threads as you're making your way in, because it does gum up the cutter. Other than that, there hasn't really been an issue. There we go, all done. Nice and simple. I'm going to zap all these holes just to blow any of the stuff out of them. I'm just using a contact cleaner here, because obviously if you're using grease cutting aluminium, it can stick inside in the threads there. I'm just going to blow it all out. So that's just a contact cleaner and degreaser. I'll just blow any of the swarf, aluminium swarf, out of the threads, and we won't be pushing any of it in with the screw ahead of us. So here we go. Okay, now it's just a case of drop this guy back in place and put all our screws back in and get our fixing screws in place for this guy. And then it's our little bolts with the washers to hold on our shroud. So we've got 6 in total. 2 pre-existing holes which are already tapped, and 4 new holes that we've just tapped. Right guys, there we go. Shroud is in place. A little bit fidgety to fit, but not too bad really. All in all, maybe what to take me half an hour to fit that. I could have done quicker if I wasn't filming it. But yeah, it's in place there now and it's closed off all that hole. So we'll put this to the test. So let's get this saw closed back up. Right guys, here you can see it in place now and has closed off all that open area down inside the saw where all that dust was. So at the minimum, at least it should stop all that dust from falling in there, so I don't have to keep lifting this saw up every couple of months to clean out underneath it. At least it might solve that problem if it doesn't improve the dust extraction. Now it also works with the tilt on the saw. If I can do this on camera, there we go. So you can see it's a flexible material. So it tilts no problem and doesn't make contact with the saw or the arbor at any point, which is good. Now there is one potential issue that I see, and that is the riving knife adjuster here. So that's just a cam lock, it's just a quick release. And that's not too bad. It just makes it a little bit more fidgety, but yeah, it's still perfectly usable. But that's the only downside I can see, is just that it's a bit more fidgety to get down to the riving knife adjuster. But again, not too bad. As again, if it stops all that dust going in down there, that would be a small price to pay. The only other concern I would have is how well the material will hold up over time. But only time will tell that, and I suppose months or even years of use to see if it's still, and I will report back to you guys. But yeah, other than that, pretty simple to install, and it looks like it's going to do the job. Okay, let's do a bunch of cuts and see if that's improved at any. So I've got some 4x2 here. We'll just do a lot of chop cuts in this, and we'll see how we get on. Okay, initial impressions, I can hear a lot more air whistling down the side of that blade now, so that tells me that it's pulling a lot more air down that gap, which is great. It's not pulling it out from the inside of the saw, so nice. And there's a lot less dust on top of the saw from those few cuts. Still plenty of dust on top of the saw, but not as much as normal. Now let's have a look underneath and see how it's looking. Okay guys, that's underneath the saw. So there's still a few little specks of dust getting in there, but not nearly as bad as it was. So it's not 100% effective, but I would say it's like 90, 95, 96% effective, if I could put a figure on it, which is a big improvement indeed. Okay guys, I want to continue with the dust extraction part of this test. So we're going to be using the rest of the dust extraction parts to see if we can improve it. So the blade guard with the dust extraction, we'll install that. We have the twin port, we'll install that as well, very simple. And we have the hose and we have the hose clamps. So first thing I'm going to do is screw this hose into our hose or our twin port. Let's see how easy this is. Is it reverse thread? Usually they are. Okay, here we go. And just going to attach this one as well. While it's off the saw, might make it easier than trying to twist this on. Or actually, you know what? I'll fix that first, and then we'll twist this on. Okay, so I'll take off the protective film. There we go. Okay, so to put this on, I have to adjust the riving knife and put it into its highest position. There we go. And then it's a case of line up the holes. That we have, I suppose, what would you call it? A thumb wheel, a knurled wheel, and we have a nylon lock nut that sits in there as well. Okay guys, the guard is all in place there now, and I have the hose attached to it, so it's nice and simple to take on, take off. It has about a 2-inch lift in front of the blade, so 2 inches or 50 millimeters. So obviously as you bring the blade up, you will get a much higher depth of cut, but your blade will be always probably higher. If you're cutting anything more than 2 inches, then the blade will be higher than the piece that you're cutting. So just bear that in mind, but the carrot is there to protect you anyway, so it's not really an issue. And yeah, like I said, nice and easy to take it on, take it off. Now, I would probably only use this if I was cutting sheet goods or doing lots of rip cuts. I would use this. Obviously, you can only use it when the blade is in its 0 degree position. You can't use it when it's tilted over to 45 or anything in between. Must be in the 0 position. And yeah, so like I said, lots of sheet goods, plywood, all that kind of stuff. I do a lot of that kind of cutting, so I would pop it on and pop it off for that. I would leave the hose in place, attached to the twin port exhaust adapter there, so I would just leave that in place and just leave that all together and just pop it on, pop it off according as I need it. Now I have just fitted the hose clamps to the top of the fence. So there's a T-track in the top of that fence, and that just sits down there, so that will just clamp in there just like that, and that will hold your hose on top of the fence and keeps everything kind of nice and tidy, and stops that hose flapping around and getting in your way. Okay, so let's test this out. Okay guys, there we go. Yeah, done a pretty good job, I have to say. There's not any kind of dust in the air. I can't really get any, and a little bit of fibre was getting kicked out the side, so there's a little few bits of sawdust in this T-slot here, but really not much at all. Normally the whole top of the saw would be covered and there would be dust everywhere. But so that does a pretty good job. So again, like I said, ripping down sheet goods, doing lots of cuts on sheet goods, I would absolutely set this up just to keep all that dust out of the atmosphere. I did notice it was catching on the way in there, but yeah, that seems to have stopped now. Might have been just a little sharp bit of plastic or something there on the front. Whatever it is, it seems to be gone now, and it's slipping under there a lot easier. So I'm after wearing it in just with a few cuts. Yeah, so that's lifting up now, that's fine. Yeah, no complaints with that at all, guys. Okay guys, there we go. That's kind of the dust extraction part all done. So that's the upgrade kit all installed. We have the shroud, which is stopping all that dust going down into the saw. More of it now is coming out the back into the actual dust extraction port, which is good. That is taking a lot of the dust that you would normally be kicking up into the atmosphere. Normally I would have to run my big shop filter when I'm using my when I'm using my table saw, full mask, full gear, because it just throws so much dust up into the air. You guys will know if you have table saws how bad they are. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good addition, especially for health and safety, for your own health, for the sake of your lungs, having a decent dust extraction system on your saw. And for 90% of the time that I will be using this saw, I would leave that on, because most of my cuts, like I said, are sheet goods. They're straight rips. The blade is at 0 degrees. The only time I wouldn't be using it is when I'm using my cross-cut slade, or maybe when I'm doing a few angle cuts, which is very rare indeed. Most of it, like I said, is just dimensioning up stuff. Using the blade at 0 degrees. So yeah, there you go guys, Fused 3D's dust extraction upgrade kit. I really like the little clamps for the hose on the fence. That's a good idea. Kind of keeps everything up out of the way. You can still use your push stick underneath. It doesn't actually really get in the way, which is nice. So yeah, there you go, thumbs up. Okay guys, the next thing we want to do then is upgrades to the fence. So the precision kit for the fence, the roller bearing kit, we're going to use that next. Now, I've already added a kind of an upgrade kit to this saw. I've put my router table into this saw as well, using the Souter Shop kit for this particular saw. So that adds to the fence, and it adds weight to the fence as well. And it improves this Bosch saw fence, because it's a little bit wobbly. It can get a little bit out of line, but this kind of helps solve that problem. But it still only runs on some plastic runners, some plastic guides. It's not too bad for sliding up and down, but it can be made a lot better. And it would be really nice to have that micro adjustment just for sneaking up on cuts, especially adjusting the router fence side. You know, it's very, very handy to have that small adjustment. So I think next thing we'll do is get the bearing kit onto it. That'll be our first job, and we'll see how that goes. Okay guys, now that the fence is out of the way, we can take our two roller bearing guides, and we just want to adjust these before we put them on the fence, so we can't get at this screw once they're on the fence. So a little bit of play in that. So we're just going to adjust this screw here, and we just want to take the slop out of that. We don't want to make it too tight. We just, there we go, perfect. And the same with this one then. Still a little bit in that. There we go. Okay, so that's the play taken out of both of those. They're ready now to go on the fence. Okay guys, here's the underside of our fence, and here are our plastic runners. So these are the two existing ones. They're just literally made of plastic, and they run in that slot, and it's just low friction, I suppose. But obviously it causes problems because it sticks in the front, it sticks in the back, and that knocks your fence out of parallel. Get a slightly smaller screwdriver for them. So it's just a case of pull out these two screws. This really is quite simple. So it's easy to see which side each of these go on, because the one with the gap in it is for the one with the side glass. So that's this one here. So it's just literally a straight swap. Just like that, that's one. And the second one, it's just the same thing. It's just a straight replacement. And there we go, that's the front bearings in, nice and simple. Okay, the back part of our fence then, this is where our next bearing kit goes in, so we have to just remove this block here. So just grab with the pliers, pull that out. That's the other plastic slider that slides along the back rail. And we just drop that straight in there, and that's our bearing. And there's a hole already in this, straight all the way through. It's as if Bosch were planning on doing something like this themselves, but never did. So that goes straight through there, and I just put a lock nut and washer on that side. Now this is going to be a little bit fidgety, so I might have to get this from underneath. So I'll crack on and get this on, because you guys don't want to look at me fidgeting with this. It's a case of small hands required. Lovely. There we go. Okay, let's just drop our fence back on. Check this out. Well, that's a massive improvement. So, as you can see, that's great. Now, the beauty of this is the front isn't catching and the back isn't catching, which means this fence now stays perfectly parallel as it moves left and right. So that completely solves the problem with this Bosch fence, in that when you lock it down or when you go to move it left and right, it can often kick this way or kick that way. You lock it down and it's slightly off parallel with the blade. That problem is now no more. As you can see, I can barely touch that. I really like that indeed. That is quite cool. Okay, micro adjuster next. Okay guys, we're going to fit the micro adjuster. So the fence is upside down again, and now we have, as you can see here, we have a screw hole here, and there is a hole here which is already pre-drilled. So there's a hole on this side and on this side on this Bosch fence, like I said, and it's pre-tapped as well. So we have just a screw in the back here, and that locks on in underneath here. Now you can't get at it once it's in there, so what you do is you just adjust that, and I've already adjusted it. That's too small. Here we go. It's just a little Allen key. You just tighten that up until it's just a kind of a snug fit till it's kind of catching. I think, yeah, that's good there. So we can now put that in place and put our screw in the front. Just tighten that home. And that is the micro adjuster, or the fine adjuster, now fitted. Let's go test this out. Okay guys, the micro adjuster is in place. It comes with a sticker so you can see which direction. So if you twist it that way, it goes this way. If you twist it anti-clockwise, it goes that way. Let me give you a little close-up of this. Okay guys, you can see the micro adjuster in place there now. So what we want to do here is, once we have our table, or once we have our fence set, say if we want to just a fine adjustment, each one of these hash marks here is 1/10 of a millimeter. So one full rotation is 1 millimeter, half rotation, 1/2 millimeter. You get the idea. So there's a cam lock here. So I lock that, I release my fence, and now I can adjust the fence. I can creep forwards or backwards 1/10 of a millimeter or less. So like I said, one full rotation is 1 millimeter. And that is very, very nice. I can see it moving up now on the ruler here. That gives you really a fine adjustment and allows you to sneak up on your cut. Now, this is going to be extremely useful for the router table. Let me show you. Okay guys, so here is the router table. Now, one of the issues I always had with using this router table with the fence the way it was that you can see the hash marks here. Now, anytime I would move the fence, this one side would be slightly forward or this side would be slightly forward. Now I can see I am perfectly on the hash marks either side, which is great. It means the fence is staying perfectly parallel. So there you go, I'm bang on those two hash marks there now. If I lock that fence down right there, I can now lock the cam lock, release the fence, and now I can creep forward. So this is excellent for the router table. So this would have been ideal for when I was making those dovetail boxes, just for sneaking up on that cut, just to get the perfect fit for that running dovetail joint, things like that. This is going to be exceptional for. So you can really just creep that fence forwards and backwards. I really like that attachment. It really is going to be a massive improvement, especially for the router table side of this saw. Here's something I should point out as well, guys. So for the back roller bearing, there is an adjustment screw there. You can adjust that. It just pushes these two bearings down onto the guide rail back here. So if you tap that and it's rattling, just adjust that, it would push those down. That's actually adjusted pretty well, and there's no play in that. So just like I adjust the front ones, you can also adjust the back one. Okay guys, there we go. That has pretty much solved all the issues with this Bosch miter saw. They are some really nice upgrades, and yeah, I'm pretty impressed with them, guys. Definitely check them out. Again, they were sent to me, but I am not being paid. I'm not getting any money for promoting this stuff whatsoever. I'm under no obligations to even speak about it. He just wanted my opinion on what I thought about it. I said I would make a video because I like the products and I wanted to share good information with you guys. So before anybody jumps down in the comments and tell me I am being paid, I am not being paid. I make almost no money from YouTube whatsoever. In fact, it costs me time and money to make YouTube videos. But I want to get good information out to you guys. So yeah, Fused 3D, definitely check it out. I will leave a link in the description below. They do a lot more stuff for this saw as well. So for the sliding carriage as well, there's an upgrade kit for that to take all the slop out of that too. Something I might check out myself. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. As always, hopefully you've found it informative. Give the video a thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. And I shall see you guys in the next video, where I shall be probably using this table saw. I'll see you then.